Welcome to Retrograde, the show where we take video games and put them in the shredder. This is episode 45, and today we're going to be discussing the side-scrolling beat-em-up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. My name is Jack Marsh, and I'm joined today by Anthony Masacho Hobday.
Hello.
Lizanne Botticelli-Fisher.
Hello.
And James Titian McFadden.
I'm not sure I get this.
You don't get those references?
Why Botticelli? Why couldn't I have had one of the actual Turtles' surnames?
I think he was going for non-turtle.
Because they're all... I thought I'd look up about Renaissance artists, and I learned a bit about Renaissance artists.
What's a Renaissance?
It was just a period of time, as far as I know.
That's what a Renaissance is,
good.
A period of time.
You did get that
right.
Okay.
That's all I know.
What's a
I don't know when it was, though. 18th century, something like that? 19th century?
I have no idea either.
I don't know how long it lasted for. Is it
like
France?
Just over 100 years.
It was like 2 days, I think.
Right?
It was 2 days of really important stuff happening.
It was over like the 1500s to the 1700s or something. Because, it started around Shakespeare. And it ended after the Reformation.
After 1600s with the block.
I think it was after the Dark Ages.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was just the late 1500s then.
It was a couple of days in the 1800s, and one French guy showed another French guy a painting he'd done. Like, well, that's bloody good, isn't it? And they're like, well, I think it's changed everything now.
As it happened, people, as it happened.
And then that was the Renaissance.
Are we living
Anthony's a Time Lord.
Are we living in an age now?
Yeah, it's kind of like a new romantic period.
It's called New Age.
New romantic period.
Yes, because like all of our fiction, it always ends up with the good guy like being the evil and getting the heroine and them falling in love and stuff.
Yeah.
Heroine?
Well, classic melodramas, as we've already discussed many times on the podcast.
I'm going to show how stupid I am by just following what I said to Anthony. I'm pretty sure the Renaissance followed like the Dark Ages when everything was a bit miserable for quite a while.
No.
And like art was being burnt and stuff.
Didn't we talk about this in an early episode?
Yeah.
At Lizanne's old flat, we were talking about the Dark Ages or something.
Oh, I remember that.
The Middle Ages, and then there was the Protestant Catholicism.
It's a good thing we're not history
raging against each other.
Great
podcasters.
Well, this game is all about history. I think
that's true. Accurate depiction.
See, got us back on track.
Yeah. What's been happening, guys? What's the hip hop? What's been going down?
What's the hip hop?
I've got new glasses.
I saw, yeah.
Which I like. Neil called me a hipster, so I hit him, and that ended that one. So that was good.
More like
Stanley,
hipster.
Yeah. Stanley the cat is still doing really well. He's settled in brilliantly.
Your new cat.
I've got a really nice arrow-shaped scratch on my wrist, which I keep having to tell people is from the cat because it looks like I've been doing something to myself.
When are you going to next week when Neil's initials are carved into your forehead? You as well.
Yeah, that'll be
Is that when you're going to...
That guy was Neil. Domestic abuse.
No, he's lovely.
Stanley's settling in well, though.
He's settling in really well.
When are you going to evolve him?
I need to get the right evolution stone first.
Which evolution stone would you prefer for Stanley?
I don't know. There's so many different forms. I've always been a fan of the electric, though.
You wouldn't be able to touch him, though. He'd kill you.
Well, no, they switch it on and off. Like Pikachu.
Oh, okay.
Has your neighbour caught you yet making Stanley fight their cat in the tall grass outside? And shouted
Stanley's an indoor cat. He's not allowed outside.
I can make him a ghost type without a stone if you want. Pretty easily.
That's really mean.
I'll just go get my car.
You're so horrible.
Oh, wait, he's indoor cat, wouldn't he?
Anyway,
you could use a stone as well, Jack.
As you brought things around to Pokemon, I'll just quickly do my last bit of banter, which, listeners, I have completed my living Pokedex. A wonderful thing happened the day after. Yeah, so I have one of every evolution. So I've got Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard, as opposed to just Charizard. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
So I've got one of every evolutionary state of all the Pokemon. The day after we recorded the last episode, a copy of Pokemon Platinum arrived for me that I bought off eBay for £10. And on that card, this guy had hacked and cloned so many Pokemon, all the legendaries. So I got like 25 Mews, I got 30 Arceus, I got so many legendaries.
How many Arceus?
Arceus, yeah, no, I don't know how to pronounce it. I got like 50 of them.
And to be clear, they are Arceus.
Well, I don't know if that how you pronounce it.
That's what you said.
Anyway,
does that not take away some of the achievement though? If they're all cloned and stuff, like, is it not? Is the point not to go out and kind of
no, because some of them, like the really hacked and cloned ones, like the really common ones, didn't get through Pokebank, so I couldn't bring them up to X and Y.
Is it like Pokemon?
Most of them I could, and most of them I could, and those were legit ones because some he'd done through trades, some he'd done through cloning.
They had the correct paperwork and visas.
Yeah, they're called ribbons. I'll show you in later.
Pet passports.
Essentially. So a lot of them didn't get through Pokebank.
I see.
So I lost quite a lot of them, but I never actually got them anyway.
You've still completed your collection without those ones that you couldn't...
Oh, yeah, because they were all multiples.
Oh, okay.
So he had the original plus like 5 copies of it.
Why?
Because then you trade them for other Pokemon.
You realise this is all insane, right? I mean, this is mental.
Yeah.
This is the equivalent to me playing... I can't think of a comparison game where I could spend that much time gathering every tiny... It's like going in Skyrim and picking up every object and putting it in my house.
It's just completing something to 100%, Jack.
Oh, it's different, though. It's different.
I have a question. With the older... Platinum is on the, what, GBA?
It was released on the DS.
Okay, so how do they get that to work with Pokebank when it's like an old...
Right, so what you have to do, you have to transfer them from Platinum to a copy, to a Generation 5 game. So I then have to copy them from that to Black or White 2 that I've got.
Okay.
And then from there, I transfer it from those up to Pokebank. So I could get them onto Black and White 2, but I couldn't get them onto Pokebank.
Right, so...
Most of them I got onto Pokebank, but like a third of them didn't get on. So it was like, instead of having 25 Mews, I only had 18.
Oh,
that's terrible.
Oh, that's such a shame.
I know, right?
You're still alive.
Your army of Mews.
So I then traded all of these redonkulous legendaries I got through Pokebank for all the other legendaries and events that I didn't have, and a ton of shinies.
Surely you're rich by now.
I've got 5 shiny Eevees if you want a shiny Eevee.
No, I want to catch... Wait, what, 5 shiny Eevees?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I've got loads of shinies.
Have you got a shiny
now.
Ponyta yet?
No, that's
Did you say-
next on my list.
Did she say redonkulous?
Yes.
Probably.
Just catch it. I thought that was a Pokemon you
Yes.
slipped in.
Go
redonkulous.
Anyway,
Have you-
so
Anthony
I've
and Jack?
completed my
Shiny
living
redonkulous.
Pokedex, and that's all my banter, so I shall be quiet now.
Have you guys seen the shiny Ponyta video?
Anthony showed it to us.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, Auntie
really?
mentioned it in
Yeah.
our Pokemon Red and Blue episode.
And now I'm listening to my favourite band, who I want to thank for helping me get through all this.
It was,
Sum 41!
it was Sum
It was still
41,
a better acceptance speech than the Oscars.
It was amazing. It was brilliant. Anyway, so that's been my... Oh, and the school production happened. And
That's trivial in comparison.
well, that I didn't have a life last week. I was at school the whole time.
Because otherwise you'd be doing Pokemon Bank, really, when that's the
Pretty
rest
much.
of your life.
That's what I spent all day today doing, because today was the first day I finally wasn't doing anything.
Investing.
Pokemon
yeah.
investment fraud.
That kid who did the shiny Ponytail video has loads of other videos, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was watching the ones where he finds a shiny thing on screen, on
Yeah.
camera, because
Yeah.
that's the best type. And I remember reading in one of the descriptions that he found a shiny version of whatever, not on camera, but on his way to a restaurant where his mother was taking him to dinner. And because he found it in the car while he was playing and had to plug it in, because he didn't want to run the risk of saving without it plugged in,
Yeah.
even though he probably had like 98% battery, he made his mother take him home. Like, turn around and go back
Wow.
from like away from the restaurant so he could plug it in. And
That's
save it.
dedication, though, from the parent. I mean, I would just...
Yeah, I mean, that's dedication
keep
from
my child
both, but...
silly.
I would like to skip on to more banter that you mentioned on, because I actually want to talk about it. It's about Titanfall.
Oh.
Because you've been mentioning that you really enjoyed it. You posted on Facebook, and I was quite surprised because you rarely post positive things on Facebook.
What?
I'm not sure.
I didn't mean it like that.
Actually
I didn't mean
post
like that.
little amusing things that happen in his
I
brain.
was surprised to hear you praising a game on Facebook. It's not your form
Anthony
of
always used to post
communication.
really positive stuff, but then you would comment incessantly on it, just putting him down.
You would. You were horrible.
It was vicious.
That's what Facebook's for. Tell us about.
targeted.
I want to know about Titanfall. Anthony, is it good?
That's what Facebook is for.
It's
He
Titanfall.
slips in there.
Is Titanfall good?
Titanfall is Call of Duty with mechs, but it's as good as you hope that statement would be. So,
What's the mechs?
like a mech, like a robot.
Like, you
okay.
know
That you
the
sit
countries south of North America.
Oh,
They have
yes.
sombreros and mustaches and
Oh, I
popular
thought that was called
caricatures.
Eco.
No,
Okay.
you're wrong.
You know that film with Hugh Jackman where he has the robots that fight each other? I can't remember what it's called, like Rock 'em Sock 'em Robots, those kind of things.
Right, it's not like that though, because
Robocop.
you get in the robot.
The Prestige. I
Mecha
believe.
Streisand.
Yeah, the Prestige.
That film is so
Sorry,
violent.
go on.
So yeah, if you like Call of Duty, you'll like it, and if you like big robots, you'll probably enjoy it as well. But it's very well made, and it's as good as you hope it would be before you play it.
How was the? I mean, I tried to get into the beta constantly for like a few days, and I just couldn't. Like the servers were not working
Yeah,
for me.
I'm
They've
not
been
sure
dodgy
why
for a few
it's-
people, which is fair enough because I mean it's an open beta now. But how was the aspect of killing the NPC guys? Because Call of Duty 4, part of the reason I thought it was so good initially was because of all the constant gratification you were getting. You know, you were getting all the achievements and unlocks, and yeah, good job and stuff. And it was like, it just made me feel good about myself. And I think they've put the grunts in, you grind the grunts to NPCs in Titanfall for the constant positive reinforcement. So you're always doing something, even if you actually suck against real players.
Well,
Is
no,
that kind of
actually,
how it is?
they don't do very much to you, so you can just leave them alone. But they have tied a lot of the progression to killing the grunts and the next level of grunts called Spectres. So if you want to unlock something for your weapon, it's not about killing enemies, like real enemies, it's about killing the grunts. So that means that even people who are terrible at killing each other can still kill the AI players. And
That's bizarre, though. So do you get any other benefits from killing just the NPCs than you do for killing other players?
get more
Like, is
points.
if you could constantly kill NPCs or constantly kill players, would you get more points for the players?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay.
But it's obviously harder to do, and there's less of them. There's six versus 6, so it's...
Yeah.
I'm interested to see, because when I played it at Eurogamer, like, it must have been about 6 months ago now, I thought it was alright. I wasn't overly impressed by it, so...
The first couple of times I played it, I was like, I'm not sure, and then I carried on, and the third time I played it, it clicked, and now I think it's just incredible.
James, you been doing anything interesting recently?
I tried to play Titanfall. I've been playing Ocarina on the 3DS.
It's lovely, isn't it?
It's better than it is on the Nintendo 64. It's the visual remake is actually really pretty. But this week I've spent a lot of time. I've got like a module that just lasts a week at university, and it's all about sort of recording sounds in nature and then using like software to edit them into song form. And so we were out like in a forest recording leaves rustling and throwing stuff in ponds and stuff. And I've just been doing work, so no real game
that's
stuff.
Quite cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
So kind of like layering sounds on top of each other.
Yeah.
To create a melody, or
not really a melody, more of an ambience and some rhythm stuff. It's quite hard to make a melody from that stuff.
We get the kids to do something similar, but with their voices and their bodies, and we call it a soundscape.
Yeah,
And
soundscapes. Yeah.
So we get them to create a creepy forest by acting it out and doing all the sounds.
God, I just got
themselves and creating
flashbacks
the
of
atmosphere.
GCSE.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's kind of like that.
Oh, that's
but
really cool.
With actual musicians, not
Well,
children.
of course, and not children. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who runs that module actually did the music for all the recent Need for Speed games.
Oh,
So that's kind of
awesome.
relevant. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Banter done.
I don't like that guy.
He doesn't like you
I'll let
either.
him know, Anthony.
He
Well,
told James today.
I don't like who made the decision
Slags
in...
Anthony off on Facebook.
Need for Speed games usually have a pretty good soundtrack because EA, whatever you don't like about them, usually pick pretty good songs for their games.
Yeah.
And Rivals, the latest Need for Speed game, which I'm enjoying, because it's basically a Burnout game, because it's made by Criterion, partly, but also Ghost Games. Anyway, they have a great soundtrack on there, but if you play as the policeman, cops, every time you start a chase, it switches off the music they've licensed and puts in the music that the composer created, which is like this high-speed chase music, but I want to carry on listening to whoever it is sing whatever song I was enjoying, rather than it going...
Okay, well, I'll talk to him and see if we can get that change put in place.
Yeah, just a quick update, something like a patch.
Yeah.
It's all digital these days,
I've,
patches are easy.
I've got nothing to share apart from the fact I saw a Lego movie.
Oh, yeah?
I
Good?
want to see that. Is
Why?
it good?
I don't understand all of these shared cultural experiences. Why is Lego a thing people suddenly love?
It's just
Well,
the
we've
trailer
always
was
loved it.
the trailer
Why?
was looked pretty good, and I like my animation films. It wasn't very good. It was all right, to be honest. People
Yeah, but you didn't think Gravity was good.
It was all right.
Lego film is as good as Gravity. You heard it here
People
first.
have been going mental for the Lego movie, and don't get me wrong, it's like an acid trip.
People like
It's
to
just
circle jerk over and
Don't
stuff.
spoil it.
It's like mental all the way through, but it's just not that funny. That's the only thing about it.
Was it ever going to be funny? Why would a Lego film be funny?
Why
wouldn't
film,
it?
What do you mean? What?
Because I don't. Is humor associated with the Lego brand? Am I just missing
Yes.
something?
Yeah.
Yes, you're missing
Have you
something.
been to a Lego shop? I don't go in there and go, wow, it's not very fun in here. It's like
No, there's a
BHS in
difference
here.
between fun and funny, though.
No, if you play the games
Oh, I
and
know
stuff,
what you
they've
mean.
all
Yeah,
got
you're
pretty
right.
quirky humour,
Oh, okay.
and there haven't been many films to compare this one to, so it's not as if there's a previous film that was not funny that you're
Yeah.
thinking of.
Well, I just don't automatically
Some-
assume a film is going to be funny.
But it's a children's movie, so
Children's
why
movie, you
wouldn't it?
expect there to be the main element.
Well, no, but
That's like assuming that a Pixar movie would be not funny.
I'm probably very wrong on this, but I thought it had a lot of associations with the people who had made Cloud of a Chance and Meatballs, but apparently
It's
didn't
the same,
actually.
isn't it the same company?
It's not. No, it's in fact it's a kind of a new company doing it. It's like it's Warner Brothers Studio Animation,
Oh.
who I don't think have actually done much before Lego Movie. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. 7.3 out of
What
10.
about
fun
Warner Brothers
review.
done loads of animation. The Looney Tunes.
No, but I mean like 3D animation
Oh,
houses.
okay.
I actually did a lot of research there about 3D animation houses and who made what and stuff like that. It's really confusing who makes what. Like Rio is DreamWorks Animations and things like that, and I was been looking at all the things.
Right, but the great thing is you can ignore all of those and just focus on Pixar and Disney because they're the only ones who make good films, except for Sony
Yeah.
who made Cloudy.
I think Disney Animation Studios are now taking over because they've done Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, and Tangled 3 in a row that I really liked.
Yeah,
I
they
think
were
They've taken up the
brilliant.
candle now.
Oh, sure, Disney and Pixar. Like I say.
Pixar.
No, Pixar are a
Sucking.
separate company now.
No, I don't mean Disney and Pixar together. I mean Disney, comma, and Pixar.
There was no space between the comma and the word "and," Anthony. That's not formatted.
If you could
correctly.
say your,
Okay,
like,
I'll
yeah, if you-
rewrite
It's the
it and then.
Oxford comma,
If you could say those things out loud, like comma or apostrophes, that'd be great to help clear that up. We should roll in before we go into the game. We should roll into the competition first. Da-da.
Full stop. Yes.
comma.
The Paul Monahan giveaway. This week, this episode, we were giving away copies of Night Sky and Mark of the Ninja, which I chose because they were both dark.
Mark of the Ninja's meant to be awesome as well.
Yeah, it's like a
That's
stealth
really
game.
good.
Like it's got an amazing
It's a
score.
2D stealth game. It's from the people who made Shank, I think.
Yeah.
But because they both have a dark theme, Night Sky and Mark of the Ninja, Night Sky is this indie platform that's kind of a puzzler as well. It's very
Yeah, it's good.
atmospheric.
I like it.
We're giving both of those away, and the winner is Justin Montemurno. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
If there's two guys who've got names similar to each other, like Justin Montemurno, they're both now going, is that me? Is that me?
Yeah, you'll know because we'll contact you on Twitter.
What's their Twitter handle?
Just Monty, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's just Monty. It's just Monty. So we're going to be contacting you on Twitter to let you know the codes for those. And for next episode, we're giving away, I'm going for a little bit of a space theme here, we're giving away Strike Suit Zero and Faster Than Light again. And
very kindly, we had a fan who, and I'm really sorry I've forgotten your name now, it's terrible, but he offered us from his one of his bundles that he brought, Civilization 4, so we're going to throw that in as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we'll when we give that away, we'll find out who
that fan's name.
I will find that out after the next bit, but yes, I will find out.
Yeah, when we give it away, we can make sure to give him a shout-out. But cool. If you want to win a copy of Strike Suit Zero and FTL, Faster Than Light, then we'll be putting the details on Twitter. Just retweet that and you'll be entered to win.
What is Strike Suit Zero?
It was made by Born Ready Games, who are up in Guildford, who were recently really badly affected by the floods, actually, but they're okay now, because I know a bunch of people who work for them.
Or are they the guys who were making that space game?
Different people.
That
was the
Strike
Joe
Force.
Danger people.
No, Strike Force Zero, Born Ready Games, definitely.
I think
Joe Danger is Hello Games.
Yeah, Hello Games got flooded as well.
Yeah. They did. There was a bunch of.
Okay.
There's pretty much in Guildford, in the middle of England. There's because it was where Bullfrog and places like Lionhead are now. There's a lot of game studios, pretty much within the same business park.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I know, Hello Games and Born Ready are on the bottom floor, and on the next floor up, I think, are Lionhead and a few others, and they were all right. But yeah, Joe Danger got a lot of flood damage.
Yeah, they're making that new game that's all procedural. That looks really good, but might be terrible.
No Man's Sky?
Yeah.
Something like that?
That's the sort of game, this is what I mean. That's a game that promises a lot and might not deliver, whereas the reason I like Titanfall is because it promises something and then delivers it, and that's why it's...
I think you're right, though. That's the game I'm most excited for. Like, I really want to see what they do. That could be so good.
Right, but it's like... what's his name? The guy who made Lionhead. Yeah, Molyneux. He promises a lot and then doesn't deliver, which is why his games are often derided. So
true.
These days, when someone announces a really complex-looking game that has an awesome idea, I kind of...
But they're not really promising a lot. They're just showing something that looks promising. There's a difference, because Peter Molyneux always gets very verbose whilst telling you how universally accomplished all of his games are, and then they come out and they're very linear and dull.
Right, they might end up just saying nothing, and then we'll all assume that it's a really awesome explorathon with combat that's fantastic.
But it's exciting either way.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Okay.
I knew you guys were going to cut back to me the moment I'm trying to run around on my app and find out who sent this game. It was Rob Smith, I think, sent us over the code that he offered to us as just
for Civilization 4.
So thank you very much, Rob Smith, for doing that.
Thanks. Thank you.
That's really cool of you. But yes, we need to talk about Turtles in Time. Amazing. That's a long intro.
Do we have to, though? Can we have more banter?
No, we do have to, because we have a really nice bunch of people who give us our guest VO this week. It's the guys from the What the Shell podcast.
Hello, Shellheads. I'm Dylan Cook.
And I'm Mike Lacey.
And we are What the Shell, the first Ninja Turtles podcast. And we're here on behalf of Retrograde to introduce to you Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, a video game produced by Konami. It was a sequel to the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, which was a scrolling beat-em-up based mainly on the 1987 TV series. Original arcade game Turtles in Time was ported to the Super Nintendo in 1992, whereupon it was retitled to serve as a sequel to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3: The Manhattan Project. That same year, a game which borrowed many of the similar elements was called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Hyperstone Heist, which was released on Mega Drive and Sega Genesis.
Up to 4 players, 2 players in the Super Nintendo version, can take control of Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael, who are on a mission to recover the stolen Statue of Liberty from the evil Shredder. Upon defeating Shredder, the Turtles are hurled back through time and must venture through time portals, chasing Shredder through history. Following its release, Turtles in Time became Konami's best-selling arcade title. The home console version reviewed very well, commended for its visuals and zany gameplay. It became a firm favorite with the gamers so much that in August 2009, Ubisoft released a 3-day remake of the game Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Turtles in Time Reshelled for the current consoles.
So sit back, relax, get ready, and enjoy as Retrograde takes a look at the game. Cowabunga, dudes!
Thanks for that, guys. And make sure you head over to the whattheshellpodcast.com, all one word, to get all their latest episodes. And these guys are the lead Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles podcast out there. And they're really good fun. They're really nice guys. I think they've been a couple of competitors and they've just like battered them off with their nunchuck stuff. No, but
How
they
often
are like.
do they do?
Huh?
How often do they do episodes?
I think it's one a week. At the moment they're really ramping up. It's just a really good podcast, and it always amazes me that like we'll do a game and I think, oh, there's probably not going to be a Turtles podcast, and then bam, not only do I find a podcast, but I find a really good one.
Some of the coolest podcasts are those ones that are really quite niche and you wouldn't expect to be there, but when they are, they just know everything about that niche and they fill it so well.
I've asked them some questions about because I wanted to because sometimes we get criticised for having our facts a bit wrong, but I thought I'll ask some professionals on the topic of what they thought about this game. So I've got these guys who are helping us. But if you're out there and you've got a blog or a podcast or anything you'd like to promote, get in touch with us, because we're looking for voice videos every week. It doesn't have to be related to the game, just good to have people contacting us and getting in touch. But Turtles in Time.
Woo!
You chose this, Lizanne.
Yes.
Go on. Why? Did you like it? What? Go on.
Well, I think I was 6 when I got my Raphael dress-up kit for my birthday. And so I've been obsessed with Turtles since I was tiny, obviously. But for some reason, the fact that they had video games never entered my sphere of knowledge, despite getting a SNES when I was 8. And I just had no idea that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games existed at all.
That's cool.
And it wasn't until it was like mine and Neil's 3rd or 4th date or something that I wore this Turtles hoodie that I'm wearing right now. And we started talking about Turtles, and he said, "Oh, well, you've played Turtles in Time then?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's the 4th Ninja Turtles game." I'm like, there was more than one. And then we went back to his and we played Turtles in Time, and it was amazing.
Well, I was going to comment on this, I guess.
So that's why.
We should talk about obviously the quality of the game, but I was going to say that I was thinking the other day about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I love the fact that I watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when I was a kid, and it's still a franchise that's still going. I mean, even just now, Michael Bay is going to be doing a film that brings it very... And you had like the TMT and like TMNT of like the noughties, where they kind of rebrand them a bit. Outside of the Turtles, I was trying to think of what other franchises there are in video games that's been as long running that didn't start in video games. Do you know what I mean?
Power Rangers.
And I was thinking The Simpsons.
And Power Rangers.
No, but I mean, I can't think of many. Like Mickey Mouse
started in video games.
Yeah, I guess.
Like,
well,
the Turtles have been on every generation of console. They've had a game out.
Oh, you mean that had game... Because Power Rangers didn't have many games.
Well, even Power Rangers was like mid-90s. I mean, the Turtles were on the NES. You can get the old, really, the first Turtles game. It was really, very hard. Yeah. And it just made me thinking that, you know, obviously there's things like Zelda and Mario, but they were born on video games consoles. Turtles are one of the few franchises still going that weren't. And
it's pretty long running.
The only ones I can think of is maybe the Power Rangers, but they're about mid-90s. But the Simpsons, I remember the Simpsons have been going for obviously 20 years. I guess you could say Star Trek games, maybe.
There are quite a lot of Lord of the Rings games as well.
Yeah, I guess they've been going for a while. But I'd certainly say, again, maybe the Simpsons, but it's probably the most successful franchise I can think of on games consoles that wasn't a video game. Sorry, I was just fascinated by that. I was thinking about it the other day. Because I've played every generation, I've brought a Turtles game, pretty much. I've always had Turtles games.
It's a shame the latest ones aren't very good, are they?
No, to be honest, I've not played many new ones. The only one I got on 360 was the Reshelled, which is obviously the version of Turtles in Time that's been reshelled and redone. Okay. But anyway, sorry, what do you guys think of this game? And obviously, as a beat-em-up, what do you guys think?
I was thinking about how this game differentiates itself in terms of gameplay mechanics, because it seems like there were a lot of side-scrolling beat-em-ups, especially in part due to the arcade craze, because they're really popular in arcades. But they never seemed to have much of a differentiation in terms of gameplay. It was always walking left to right, beating people up, and they all seemed to follow the same formula, probably because the same company... I mean, this is Konami, and they made a load of other...
beat-em-ups.
So, side-scrolling beat-em-ups, I'm guessing. So I think it's always down to the locations you go to and the music and the art.
It's the IP. That's what makes this a great game, is that it's the Turtles.
I loved you said that, because yesterday when I saw the film with our friend Laura, I said Anthony will love that film because it goes to lots of different locations. And I had to explain to her how you like properties, like you like, I don't know what to call them, like content, entertainment that goes to lots of places.
Oh, wait, what's that about from? The jet setting?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Because you said Frozen, the film, you were like,
lots of different locations.
Doesn't go very far though, does it? It's all snowy. And I was like, well, yeah, but it just made me laugh. You said the Turtles. That you
Frozen was better than
to places.
Frozen was better than Brave for that reason, because Brave they went very.
That was the one you
not
mentioned.
Very far
Brave,
at all.
Sorry, yeah.
They go into the forest and that's it. Disney films, I expect them to have an adventure, like because that's why Tangled was great, because they went really far. There's a lot of travelling in that, you know. It feels like a real adventure. If you're just solving a problem in your backyard, there's not really a problem. There's no feeling of isolation to
Is
contend
The Lord
with.
of the Rings like your ideal film then? Just one constant journey.
If Disney made Lord of the Rings, then yes, I think that would be awesome. But the way it is, it's got lots of like homosexual hobbits and stuff in it. I'm not really a fan.
They're not officially homosexual.
No, but if they remove the hobbit scenes from Lord of the Rings, I'd prefer the film so much more.
So, sorry, I shouldn't have took us off
Yeah, no,
topic.
that's-
Turtles in Time. Go on.
What I'm saying is the gameplay isn't different from any other side-scrolling beat-em-up to me. It's really the locations you go to, the artwork and everything. And like Lazan said, the IP. And I think that's how they differentiated side-scrolling beat-em-ups in these days. I mean, these days, there aren't really that many. Except for Double Dragon Neon, it's just come out on the PC, or just coming out soon, and that's apparently very good. But I'm just wondering how side-scrolling beat-em-ups could have changed up the gameplay. 'cause-
Before you...
The actual... Sorry, Jack. Go on.
No, I was going to say, before you go on, actually, I'm going to disagree with you and say that actually what made me... I love Turtles in Time. I used to play it all the time as a child with my best friend Sam. We had a copy of an American version of it. We used to play it on my SNES all the time. And when I played Reshelled, which is basically just a HD remake of it, not like a HD upscale, a actual remake, and it's not as good. And I tried to work out, and one of the things I noticed was that the animations... You felt like you were punching clouds. It didn't feel meaty. This game, and I think because the weapons, you actually have quite a long reach. Like, for example, I used to love playing as Donatello because he had a really long stick.
Yeah.
Whereas Raphael, you had to get a little bit closer to him. It's only like a couple of pixels. But you really felt that kind of... I can't really explain how they did it. Maybe it's just the sound.
No, they do the little vibration when he hits something. You see how the picture vibrates slightly?
Turtles in Time felt very... solid when you're hitting characters, and the fact that when you hit them, they obviously do the classic kind of Double Dragon pause for a couple of seconds and then carry on for you. There was something very solid about the animation and the combat between you and the people, and that's what I liked so much about Turtles in Time.
I think what you say about weapons being different, having different reaches and stuff, is a way they obviously differentiate, because you could pick a turtle based on what you wanted rather than just how they looked from their weapon, you know.
Yeah, but everyone has a favourite turtle from the TV series.
I never did. I never watched the TV series.
No, I wasn't a big
I didn't
fan.
really care.
I loved the TV
I
series.
I was a Power Rangers
Absolutely
person.
adored it.
Well, I was Turtles and Power Rangers.
I was just Turtles.
I was
and Mighty
easy.
Max.
I think they were both slightly before my time, actually.
Yeah, you're
Oh yeah,
young.
that's true.
Yeah.
I forget you're.
Well,
so
Turtles have
much
been going
younger
ever.
than me.
Turtles have been going for. There's been so many different generation versions of Turtles. It's
Yeah, but
insane.
they're never really that popular. I always loved as a kid
Oh no,
Dragon
they
Ball
were
Z.
huge.
Yeah,
when
well,
I was in primary school,
yeah.
it was massive. My mum made me a Raphael birthday cake for my 5th birthday. I've still got the pictures. She sat around it with
Oh.
Jaffa cakes. It was amazing.
And there was that the whole thing. Did you hear about the whole? Is it terrapins? Is that the
Yeah, everyone started
there was
getting
a
terrapins.
real
as pets.
really?
bad problem
Yeah.
because they were getting these terrapins. They were growing too big, or the kids were getting bored, so they were just flushing them down the toilet, putting them
Yeah.
down the lakes. And there was an infestation in a lot of parks in the UK of these terrapins, and they were eating the birds and eating wildlife and stuff like that because they get quite big, and they had to go around basically killing. And I remember going into like pet shops, and there'd be like a tank on the table. And there would just be like 50 of these like little terrapins in there, just
Yeah.
all crawling over each other. They were so popular.
So people were
buying
flushing them down their toilets.
When the kids were bored of them.
That seems like really, really advanced role play. Like they're trying to set something
Oh yeah,
up
they're
here.
trying to send them into the sewers.
Well, I think that's why they could do it, because they'd be like, well, don't worry, we'll put them into the sewers where they'll become Ninja Turtles. And the
I
sad
thought
thing is,
maybe
they
they-
kind
Well,
of
this is the parents talking now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of idiot tells their kid who does that? How would it even go down? Surely they're too big to go down a toilet anyway. Like that would
Not if
just
you're getting
No,
one
they were
that's
like, you
so
know,
small.
they wouldn't get too big. They'd get to about like the size of, say, like your thumb, and that's when they'd be like, oh, maybe we should get rid of this thing now. It's getting quite big. Or the kid would just, like every kid, get bored. You know, a terrapin's not just for Christmas. That's what I would say.
a kid like every kid would get bored and kill his pet.
But the thing is, these terrapins, they would grow quite big, and yeah, they were attacking like pigeons and swans and stuff.
Yeah.
I'd pay to see that. That's pretty cool, actually.
There's a video on YouTube of a large turtle eating a pigeon.
Yeah,
it's-
really scary.
Turtles aren't
That's
very
really
nice.
odd.
They're just super slow, so you don't realise they're not very nice.
Okay.
How do we feel about the fact that the side-scrolling beat 'em up? I guess not really side-scrolling, but obviously, I think sadly this game. I do love to go back and play it, but I do only go mostly back for a nostalgia hit. And I think the reason is that gamers' tastes have got more advanced now, and sadly, the beat 'em up genre doesn't float my boat as much now. I mean, it still exists in forms like Batman and Assassin's Creed with the sort of combat, but it's evolved a lot further now than just side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Yeah,
See, I disagree because I came to this new, like just over a year ago or whatever, having never played it before and loved it purely because it was so beautifully 80s and it was the Turtles IP. It covered all the classic bases of a side-scrolling beat-em-up. And I was really impressed with the quality of the animation, actually, considering the game. I was expecting it to be really, really clunky, almost like Street Fighter can be sometimes. And, you know, they don't have that many different animation sprites. Whereas with this, I was really impressed, and they had the depth of the screen as well that isn't there in Street Fighter. And what I liked is that there was actually a loose story, which kind of held my interest.
Yeah.
Which is what makes it better for me than other IPs. Other beat-em-ups, is because they're just... I was never as interested in them because it's not a good...
Yeah.
So if the game...
iconic
If
IP.
you replace everything related to the Turtles brand with something related to...
I probably
an unknown
wouldn't
brand.
find it as interesting. In fact, I will say I wouldn't find it as interesting or enjoyable because it's not the Turtles. The fact is that it is the Turtles, and it's all the same foot soldiers that they used to fight, and you've got Shredder and Master Splinter, and you've got Krang and Bebop and Rocksteady and everyone, and it's just... It just brought back everything about the Turtles that I loved.
Yeah.
How many other side-scrolling beat-em-ups have you played, like Streets of Rage and that sort of thing? Are you very familiar with the genre?
No.
Because I think what Jack's point was that since he's played so many, and like I've played so many in the past and everything, coming back to this, it's just hitting a lot of the same gameplay tropes.
No, not necessarily, because at the time when this came out and I was playing it, I played Double Dragon, I played Streets of Rage, I played like Cowboy. It was that one, Dinosaurs and Cadillacs and all those.
Oh, yeah, that's my favourite.
I really liked them,
Golden
but I
Axe.
love this one the most. And Golden Axe, yeah, but I love this one the most. But I mean, going back now, playing any of those, they do belong to a genre that's a bit of a bygone genre
Yeah.
for me now, sadly.
It's disconcerting how many times that happens when we do these shows. How many times we actually
Yeah.
look at a game and say, oh, this game is so big, yeah, we loved it as kids. Then we go back and that genre doesn't even exist anymore. Like,
Yeah.
nobody's making these. It just doesn't
That's
work
true.
in modern context.
We definitely covered that in the Zork episode.
I was about to say Zork.
Yeah, Zorg's the
Text
biggest
adventures
defender.
are still around, but they're way
They're
more
books
niche.
now.
And,
Monkey Island as well. Point and click doesn't really happen unless you're Tim Schafer and you get
Point and
millions
click's
from
Oh,
it.
no, you do get point and
Point and
clicks.
Click's
There's
an
the mystery
interesting
case
one, though.
files.
Yeah, but they're not
there's-
popular.
There's a niche
Well,
for
yeah.
that.
they don't make the same money or anything. Yeah, it's a shame that the
to
side-scrolling
be-
beat-em-up
Well, no,
didn't
but I mean,
really...
technically, then,
fair-
if you're taking that angle, you do get games like this still made. I mean, Castle Crashers came out a few years ago, and that was actually...
And I was
Right,
gonna
but those are all like homages. They're indie titles that throw
Well,
back.
I was going to say a game that we're loving at the moment is Towerfall.
Sure, right, but
I hate
that's
that
like an
game.
arena platformer. That's not...
Yeah, it's not really the same.
But could you not say that its roots live in the beat 'em up?
Sure, it's got some roots, but you could also say it's similar to...
It's more of a shooter than a beat
And like even Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
is
like it's
kind
more
of
like
a
Smash
beat 'em
Brothers
up.
than
Smash
something like
Brothers
this.
is more like Street Fighter than this. I don't think they're really that similar, Jack. I'm
fair
sorry.
enough.
But one of the reasons that I think probably my two favourite side-scrolling beat-em-ups are Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, like you said.
Yep.
Because it's so polished and it's got weapons.
And
you
it's
can pick up.
mental.
And it's got
let's be honest.
dinosaurs
It's
in it.
just
Yeah.
nuts, yeah.
And two is Golden Axe. But one of the reasons Golden Axe is one of my favourites is one, because I played it a lot when I was young, and two, because of the magic. You could run around, and if you got enough of those blue potions, you could summon a dragon and stuff.
What about that SNES one that was really hard that I've forgotten the name of? Where if you got hit, you'd be like your
Battletoads?
clothes. No, your clothes would come off, and you'd be like down to your underwear.
Oh, Ghosts and Goblins.
Yeah, that one was great.
That wasn't the same. That was a platformer.
What
That wasn't a side-scrolling beat-em-up. No.
wasn't it? Oh, yeah, because it wasn't in 3
And
dimensions.
also,
yeah.
also, I was just going to dive in and say that we still do have kind of beat 'em ups. I mean, Spyro's Skylanders Swap Force is kind of a beat 'em up. Knack that just come out on the PS4, that's kind of a side-scrolling beat 'em
definitely-
up. At
Knack
times.
isn't side-scrolling though.
It's not side-scrolling. Okay, so well, I guess I mean beat 'em up. I mean third-person adventure games for like, you know, even the Lego games are still kind of beat 'em ups.
Well, I
just
mean,
in a
they took the
further
idea of
angle.
beating up like grunts and put them into other games. So they've taken what was
Yeah.
an entire game and put it into another game with other, like, you know, basically they take old genres and combine them all into one new genre.
Mm.
I think it's because you could have like Batman Arkham Asylum is adventure and beat 'em up, and
Yeah.
Mystery Silver. I don't know. But one of the but what I was saying was you've got that gameplay element in Golden Axe of finding the magic and having this secret, you know, special weapon. And you had the same in Streets of Rage. You know, you could call on the policemen to drive up with their car and fire
Yeah, I
rockets
think
and
so.
things.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I'm wondering what really sets this apart, because I agree it's a very solid side-scrolling beat 'em up, but I'm not sure what sets it apart from the IP.
Well, I think it is solely the IP.
Yeah, and you can tell it's a lot of fan service, especially because in the menu I noticed they've got a colour mode option for the main characters. It says switch between comic and TV show, or comic and animated.
Yes.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
It makes it brighter if you choose the animated. So it's based on if it's based on the comics, it's a duller color like you're seeing now.
Okay.
See, I think I disagree with you guys about
I
the whole IP tie-in
I
thing.
disagree as well. Sorry, go on.
We might not have the same point. I was just going to say that I actually think that all IP tie-in stuff, whether it's a film that's based on a game or a game that's based on a TV show or whatever, it makes it worse. I don't like the fact that I'm being kind of sold this brand in a new, different way. You know, I prefer that they focus on their own ideas, because then I've got a story that starts and ends in the product I've got. Whereas if it's a game like The Simpsons beat 'em up or whatever, it's very easy to see it as just another piece of merchandise that isn't there to be a game. It's there to get you more familiarized with the brand and to sell another copy or a piece of
Right, but a lot of bad IP-based games take the story from the film or book, whatever they're using. But the Batman games, for example, take the Batman IP, but don't do anything else with it. They just do their own thing, and they have fantastic games.
I actually wasn't a huge fan of the Batman games, and I think if all the IP characters were replaced with new characters, A, I would enjoy it more, and B, I think that it would have been a more interesting story, because
you not liking Batman because they've used an IP and not because of the gameplay or anything is more down to you being a hipster than
No.
I was going to say, I was going to say it's a little bit shallow. That if you
That's
took your
quite a sweeping
favourite game like The Last of Us and just stuck, or if it took, I don't know, just took The Last of Us and put the two characters, Bert and Ernie.
The Sesame Street versus zombies. That's amazing.
That's a totally different thing, though, because the characters in The Last of Us were created in The Last of Us. Like, that's not an IP.
I know what you
tie-in.
mean, but do you know what I mean? If they took the mechanics from that, like, I wouldn't let a game. For example, if I played an amazing platformer game, if it starred Barney the dinosaur, I'll still play it. I don't care. If it's an amazing platform game, I'm happy to play it, even if it's a Barney the dinosaur game.
I remember there was a game created for the GBA called Spyro something or other, right? And it was made by this small company. I remember because the guy posted on, I think, the Penny Arcade forums talking about it. So that's the only reason I found out about it. Never heard of it before or since. But it's an amazing 2D beat-em-up that's got very like Devil May Cry style combo system. And it's not like any of the Spyro games except for the fact you have to go and find stuff, like find the lost goggles of Atlantis. But they were basically...
I'd totally play that game.
But they were
Lost
basically...
Goggles of Atlantis, that's amazing.
It lets you see Atlantis. It's in the second film. It lets you... They were basically given this IP of Spyro, but they decided to build their own game with it, despite the fact that it had Spyro as the main character and had a much deeper combat system than any of the other 3D Spyros. And it was a fantastic game despite the fact that it had Spyro in it. So I think that the Batman games are fantastic despite being an IP-based title. And I think also it helps in that sense because being Batman is more awesome than being Cape Man or whoever they would have put in if it wasn't the IP for Batman.
My point was actually just that I did enjoy the games regardless, but I think that the IP tie, it's a risky proposition, isn't it? Because with an IP tie-in, you've got so many expectations and requirements.
Yeah,
in
sure,
place.
yeah.
And that, I mean, it conveys its benefits certainly because you've got the brand recognition already. You put your name out there when you're making a Batman game. But I just feel like the entertainment industries these days are quite self-referential. There's quite a big circle jerk going on. And I don't know, I feel more like, okay, this is a product I'm consuming when I've got something that ties into a TV show or a film. Whereas if it's just a unique, if it's just an original production, I feel like this has more been created as a labour of love, if that makes sense, because it's more on its own merit.
I could agree with that.
You're looking at it from a perspective of having tie-ins being tried to make happen for the last 20 years or so.
Yeah.
This was released in the mid-80s when the concept of video gaming...
Early 90s, but yes.
Okay, well, yeah.
91, 92.
When video gaming at home still wasn't hugely common, but it was up and coming and it was really exciting. It was going. Turtles were at their peak of popularity. And so this being released and being executed as a really, really well-constructed game, the fact that it had Turtles in it as well meant that it was going to be cemented as success. And they didn't have the IP tie-ins as we've experienced so many bad ones over the last 20 years. But at the time, this was a new thing. It was like, oh my God, suddenly I can be the Turtles. Like I said at the beginning, I had the Raphael dress-up kit.
Yeah.
And I had the mask, I had the scythe, and I had this plastic body thing that had a belt on it that was a turtle shell. And I used to spend all day in that, pretending I was Raphael, beating up my brother and sister. I loved it. And so at the time, had I have known a Turtles game existed and I could be Raphael in this amazing looking game on my Super Nintendo, I would have been all over it.
Does it make much difference to you, James, about what the genre it belongs to? Because, for example, when I asked Mike and Dylan from the What the Shell podcast, what's your favourite Turtles game, they both really highly praised the fact that the game that followed this one, which was Teenage Mutant Turtles Tournament Fighter, which is a beat-em-up between the Turtles, and I just found it interesting they both found that one as one of their favourites because I would imagine the Turtles as a beat 'em up would be a good fit. Does that make sense? Does that make a difference to the use of
If
for
this was
example,
a
like Simpsons,
platformer, it wouldn't be as good.
It's like I remember Simpsons skateboarding coming out and Simpsons wrestling, and they were terrible games because it was just
I played Simpsons wrestling when it came out.
Yeah,
I actually think that this format suits the Turtles branding quite well, because in the TV show and comic book and stuff, they're always like going around stabbing people and stuff. I was going to say shooting. They definitely don't shoot
robots,
people.
though. Robots, all right.
Every episode, Shredder is doing another plot to destroy the city, and every episode the Turtles have to go and fight loads of people and defeat Shredder. Every episode they defeat him.
I think actually the Turtle storylines were far beyond things like Power Rangers storylines and things like that.
I went back and watched them.
Ingenious, some of their storylines.
I went back and rewatched Power Rangers. Yeah,
there's an episode in the Turtles where they know that the Turtles love pizza, so Krang goes to like Generation X, gets these alien things that look like meatballs, and they put them on the meatball pizzas, and when people put them in the microwave, these massive monsters come out.
I don't know why I haven't thought of that. That's genius. That's brilliant.
That is genius. But also the way the Turtles started, the fact they were covered in ooze and
radioactive.
Splinter was banished from Japan because he didn't bow to his master and things like that. I thought it was really cool. The Turtles, first ever episode of Turtles, have the traditional 90s one of how it all began. It's a really good episode.
Amazing bit of trivia I didn't find out until recently.
You're going to say Daredevil.
No.
Go on, I'll tell
you
mine
know
afterwards.
James Avery, aka Uncle Phil off of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yeah.
He was the voice of Shredder.
Yeah.
And I was going to say something that's going to probably make every comic book fan go, no, it wasn't. But I remember reading that the ooze that the Turtles got covered in, despite the fact I think they were two different kind of companies, they agreed that the ooze that the Turtles got covered in and made them into turtles was the same ooze that made Daredevil blind.
Whoa, God.
Drop
Bloody
the bomb
hell!
there.
That my heart is racing.
What about the fact that
ooze?
I find it very impressive when you think about modern day children's TV shows and how kind of I'm going to offend so many people, but dumbed down they are. The fact that the Turtles were named after Renaissance artists, must have been such a. I mean, it was based on the comic book, but what a ballsy decision! Imagine going to a boardroom.
Was the comic book made by Marvel?
I don't know who the original.
Because that would have made the whole ooze crossover you just mentioned way more likely.
I don't think it was Marvel. I think it was a very one-off, like almost like Black Horse or something like that.
Okay. I think it's Dark Horse.
Dark Horse.
I'm not sure.
Black Horse being totally
James,
different products.
If I can try and summarise your point before, I think I get what you're saying. Because you got off it a bit.
You can say it better than you can. No. That'd be great.
No, because I think I'm trying to understand what you're saying correctly, and I just wanted to say it in my own words to make sure I've got it. You're saying that with games that have an IP tie-in, there's an ulterior motive there, and you think that might detract from the overall experience?
As far as I'm concerned, if you're being published by a company, the motive is always to make money. I'm not saying that there's an altruistic bent to people who have original products. I'm just saying that it feels more cynical when it's branded in this way.
Okay. I can see it. I just, I'm not sure. I mean, I think the reason that so many games back in these days with the Turtles games and some of the early Capcom tie-ins like Aladdin and stuff, the reason that they were so good is because they were given to these really good software places, these really good developers.
Yeah.
Whereas now a lot of IP tie-ins are given to really crappy places because the producers realise they can just make a crap game and still sell as many titles as they would have.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely coloured my perception of the game. I mean, I like the game. I liked it when I played it as a kid, and I like it now. I think it's enjoyable. I mean, I like the fact that it's colourful. It's quite a nice little reprieve considering how grey and brown everything is these days. And it's quite a nice contrast to Rayman last episode, actually. And it does play well. But I mean, I just going back and seeing, you should love this, nostalgia, right? Especially amongst kind of this demographic of sort of technologically minded, like slightly nerdy people. Lego, Pokemon, Ninja Turtles, Cartoon Network stuff. There's now My Little Pony, of course, Dragon Ball Z kind of. There's a lot of branding like in the culture, and people are kind of there's a lot of circle jerky and obsession with it all. And I think that looking back, it turns me off a little bit.
But when we were younger, it was all aimed at us. And so, of course, we're going to grow up and still be fond of all those things. Because when we were younger, obviously we were more susceptible, and it all worked. And we loved it.
I have a hard
kids today are going
time.
to look back at Peppa Pig and love her.
I have a hard time imagining that James was ever not cynical.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not cynical.
I can imagine you as like a cynical 6-year-old.
Name something from your childhood that you love.
I loved Dragon Ball Z. I was all over that. That was like my cocaine.
You did love Pokemon as well, actually. So.
Yeah.
That's really good. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think there are definitely children's titles, and I think there are a lot of children's TV shows now that I think are very kind of dumbed down. Even when I was a kid, I thought there was some. I remember Action Man. I felt, even as a kid, I felt it was cheap. But like, the one thing I'd give to Turtles is I actually think that the idea of it and the characters, all that, is really creative. I mean, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Heroes over here.
Well, heroes, yeah. And sometimes I forget that they're meant to be teenagers as well.
Yeah.
And the whole notion of it is very ridiculous. Ninja Turtles is just
Did you know,
insane.
aside from censoring the name, they also censored one of the weapons. I think it was the blue one. What's his name?
Sword?
Leonardo, he had swords.
The katanas? Or
Yeah, I think they cut out all of the scenes they could from the show where he was using his
really?
swords.
Really?
Oh, really?
So, well, I read that recently, so look it up. It might be one of the others, but I'm pretty sure it was Leonardo, with his katanas. Because they didn't like ninja culture over here. That's why they got rid of the ninja. Put in hero.
I see.
Another point I was going to kind of carry on with the IP theme of it. The one good thing I'd say sometimes about games borrowing IPs from TV shows like that is that they're borrowing something that's already been established and has gone through marketing and has gone through storytelling and has gone through the design process and has been proven to work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that, sometimes you'll get
They
games,
know it's got
you'll
appeal.
get like Konami made, for example, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which is good, but you could see it wasn't good enough to become a franchise. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's interesting.
I find it quite cynical to look at games as a product that has to have certain appeal. It has to sell this many copies. You have to make it in this way. You need to make this much money by January. It's like, I know that it is the reality. Like, you'd be foolish to think that companies are making games for anything other than money because they need that to keep themselves afloat. I think it's much more. It's much better for me to look at games as a product that just exists without that money. I forget how much I spend on it. I don't like to think about that. I do it, then I play it, and I think about the product as it is. I don't like to think, they needed to do this to sell the copies. If they do something that I think is kind of whoring themselves out to make more money, I'm like, well, that's
But how
bad.
do you then, like, for example, you brought the Game of Thrones card game, right?
No.
Did you not buy some card game based
I
on...
bought the BioShock Infinite board game.
See, now, does that not make you kind of go, why didn't I just buy an original board game?
Charlotte said she wanted it. I never would have bought that.
Or does it
myself.
bother you? Like, does it bother you when, say, like, Halo's spawned the Forward Onto Dawn TV show? Is that right? Or
I think
does
that's
that
absolutely
annoy
ridiculous
you?
and cynical. They're
Yeah.
trying to appeal to a demographic that they're obviously not gonna appeal to.
Yeah.
Because they have insanely high requirements about everything. Because gamers are totally picky. I think it's just silly.
It would be nice if games companies could do whatever they wanted with no consequence.
A lot of indie
regardless
devs
money.
do that sort of thing, which is why I think they're
Well, it's
definitely
it's-
the most exciting games right now.
Yeah,
I was reading not amazing article, but an article said it's very interesting about how many AAAs are starting to go towards indie. Like Peter Molyneux set up 22 Can.
Speaking of which,
Ken Levine's just left Irrational
we
Games.
didn't talk about that.
He hasn't
actually,
left
but
it,
That's
he's
crazy.
restructured
Well,
it.
he's basically
15
closed
people.
it.
I want to know what you
12
guys think
people.
about that, because there's some speculation. I mean, if he has decided to get 130 people just removed from his studio, I think that's insanely maniacal almost. I think that's kind of crazy and a very bad move. But there's a lot of speculation. It's 2K putting pressure on him because financially they're not in a great place and they needed to downsize, so this is them putting a spin on it. But
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
I'm almost... I mean, obviously it's speculation, but I'm almost 100% sure that Ken Levin would just leave the company and left all them there and let them carry on. Why would you want to make all these people you've just been working with for the last 10 years out of a job? I mean, he probably knows they're all going to go form new studios, which is what happens a lot. But yeah, I took it as, that's a shame. BioShock Infinite didn't actually sell as much as they probably put into it, and they're just getting downsized. That's the way I see it.
So wait, what happened? I don't know any of these people or these names or anything. I don't know anything of what's happened.
The studio that made BioShock 1 and BioShock Infinite, but not BioShock 2, they were headed by a man called Ken Levine. He was kind of the creative visionary. People hold him up to a very high standard because he had quite a lot of
He
input
also
on the
made
games
System Shock.
personally.
He also made System Shock 2. It's a good episode. Go back and listen to it.
Oh yeah, that game was rubbish.
And his company now, it was a massive company, obviously, because BioShock Infinite was a really big game. They needed a lot of people to make it. But now they've downsized to 15 people.
15?
Yeah, so all like 100 plus people are now out of a job. And he posted on the 2K website that, these are the creative reasons I'm doing this, blah, 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 which people thought was quite, bad, because you can't just fire that many people who are doing a good job. So now it's just the speculation over why that is. Is he actually being or is it 2K putting pressure on him because they don't want to pay everyone?
Right,
In this big drama.
And I mean, it's not uncommon for studios that seem to be making successful games get closed down. Here in Brighton, we had BlackRock that made, okay, they didn't sell amazingly well, but split second. Then you had Free Radical and the guys who made Time Splitters, and then you had the guys who made LA Noire. Team Bondi made a great game that sold well. They get closed down.
Did it sell that well? I thought it kind of.
LA Noire, I think it sold all right enough to you think they would be able to keep afloat and keep making another game.
Well, that was really expensive because of the facial animation technology.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Which everyone's really disappointed by.
What? I loved it. I thought it was
I heard
incredible.
loads
It's
of
more and
criticism
more
about
a lot of industry, like Cliff Basinski, I can't pronounce the name. He left
Cliffy
obviously Epic to make up his own little whatever he wants.
He wants to go
Obviously,
back to making
what's his face just left
PC
ID.
shooters.
John Carmack left
Carmack,
ID to go join. A lot of them are
That's
leaving.
not to start an indie company, though. That's actually that.
No, that's
VR
true.
technology
Oculus.
is kind of a big deal.
And they've just announced. Well, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, anyway, a lot of veterans leaving to form smaller indie studios, which is very nice. But I don't know. I think what makes indie so much fun is the fact that it's people who are very grassroots, who are new to the industry making games.
Before I forget my point,
In my opinion, obviously.
before I forget the point I was going to make, and before our listeners forget that we're talking about
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Turtles in
Yeah.
Time. The one problem I have with this game, because I think it's really solid, I love the environmental art, I love all the background, like in that last, because we got on playing on the TV here, in the last level they had the shimmering background in the desert. I love that sort of thing.
The heat.
Nice little touches. The one thing I'm not really fond of in this game is actually the character art, just because it's so... If you look at the turtle itself, the enemies all have very crisp art to me, but the turtles have sort of a very muted art, like the lines.
I think it's the outline.
Yeah, they haven't got a definitive black outline like the other characters.
It's the shadowing
do.
as well is not strong enough. Like the outlines aren't. Just the outlines of the character aren't strong enough for me.
But to me, that makes them feel more like the cartoon character.
Yeah. Because I compared
and it makes the animations between each of the frames a lot smoother.
Sure, I compared the because you could switch between the comic and the TV show sprites. Yeah. I compared those two, and the TV show is better because it was brighter, but they were both a bit muddy, almost.
I always preferred playing as a TV show when I was a youngster. I don't know why. It just seemed like they'd fit in better with the surroundings on screen.
Yeah, they're brighter. It's just It's strange to me that they would put all this work into the artwork, and it seemed like they put less work. Maybe they put more work into the main characters, and it didn't really work out very well for me.
I still really enjoy the animation where they throw one of the foot soldiers at the screen.
Oh, that's like breaking the fourth wall almost.
Yeah.
So I played Reshelled, which is a 2009 HD remake, and it was funny how much they kind of missed the mark on a lot of bits. For example, there's a great bit talking about like the humour in this game is where they fall down a drain pipe, and he goes, "Man, this cape is creepy," which I always thought when I was a kid was funny because they live in the sewers. They know they're being sarcastic like the TV show. In the remake, when they fall in and they go, "This cave is creepy," it's like he's being serious. He genuinely thinks it's a cave. It's like, no, you live in a sewer. You would know that's not a cave. Yeah. And it annoyed me. And it was funny how little things like that, they just kept missing the mark of what made this one so good. The original so much better.
Maybe that's what they intended in the original, and they were just bad writers.
The Reshelled remake is probably the best example I could find of somebody trying to take an old property and making it better. And something most gamers, you just regular Joe blogs on Reddit forums would think, oh yeah, it must be really easy to make a remake of a retro game. It's not. It's really hard. And the Reshelled version is a good example of that, of how you would. There was no reason why it should have failed. They had the whole design template laid out from already in this game. And
Did it fail?
It got really rubbish reviews. It got like 50% average reviews. And not because of the fact it's just a beat 'em up to age badly. It was that I played it. It felt, like I said earlier, when you punch someone, it felt like you were punching a cloud.
Yeah.
It didn't have that same resonance in me.
The point of a beat 'em up is to get that resonance, isn't it?
Yeah, and it is.
But yeah, I'm
funny.
enjoying Bebop and Rocksteady dressed up as pirates right now. That's pretty funny.
Well, like Anthony's touched on it a few times. The fact that it's Turtles in Time. It's funny how the first 3 levels are just normal Turtles levels, and then you get sent back in time.
Yeah,
I think
with dinosaurs.
It wasn't like it just started with you travelling back in time. You had to do a few normal levels, and then you travel back in time.
It's not really a problem because someone would have bought this and then played through all of it because they had to, because they didn't really have the money to buy another game. But these days, they should really front load that sort of thing so that you get the USP immediately, because the unique selling point.
I remember.
Yeah, but you got to make people
because
work
that's
for
such a
it.
fundamental concept that we need
They've
to abbreviate.
They've already bought the game. It
Right,
doesn't matter.
but I'm saying
remember
these days
getting,
everyone can buy like loads of games on Steam and things, so they should really put the fun part earlier on, because it's.
But I
yeah,
remember
but then it'll
getting
get boring, and then you stop playing it.
I got Allied Assault in 2004, and they really pushed that game for the D-Day landing mission. But it was actually about the 5th level in the game. Like, you had to go through like North Africa first. And I remember thinking that was really strange. But then looking back on it, I was like, well, it doesn't bother me. I like that. And the only thing I did find about the time travelling was that it jumps quite a lot. I mean, it starts prehistoric with like like 20 billion BC.
But not a lot happened.
But then jumps to the pirates, which is only about like 200 years ago. Then to like the Wild West, which is like 100 years ago. And then just jumps like 1,000 years into the future suddenly. It's like, wow, this is
They have
one
to hit all the major ones,
Well,
don't
it's
they?
American history, isn't it?
Where would be the worst point of history they could have travelled to?
I think
Jesus.
20 billion BC is
Jesus.
quite...
Jesus.
The Turtles versus
The
Jesus.
disciples did
That would have been great. Ninjas versus Jesus. Turtles versus Jesus.
They wouldn't
Ninja
beat
Turtles
up
versus
Jesus. He's good. You'd have to. They have to
He'd be on
politely.
their side, yeah.
but
They'd have to
don't be
politely
Jesus.
wait at the bottom of the hill while he gave his sermon, and the player would be sitting there for about 3 hours. Like, when can I move on? Come on, April, appear and tell
You
me
know
I
what
can
they should have
fight.
done? Travel to Jesus. They accidentally, I don't know, knock out Jesus or something. And then when they travel back to the future, the turtles are worshipped. And there's a church of turtles. And they were like, oh, what have we
I'm
done?
sure they did that in an episode.
These guys
like
beat
on a
Jesus.
Wah, wah moment.
Well, they kind of are worshipped in a way, you know? People are making games and films about them. Has anyone ever made a game
Just
about
like Jesus.
Jesus?
I've played
I'm sure
some Bible-
someone has.
I've played some Bible games. They're always good fun.
They're always good fun for ridicule.
Always good morals.
But my point was that since one of the actual advantages of this game over any other is the environments and the places you go to rather than the gameplay, having the first couple of levels just sort of this simple New York City thing kind of makes it look boring at the start compared to what you get up to later. And it's still a
Yeah.
fun game at the start, but if you were just picking it up now and wanted to see what it was like,
Well, they want it to be familiar, first of all.
Again, yeah, I totally disagree. I like that touch. Maybe it's because I'm a bit boring.
no, I'm saying if someone now wanted to pick this up and they knew about side-scrolling beat-em-ups, they might play it and think, well, why has this gotten so much praise when the early
might
levels are so
They
simple?
might go, why is this called Turtles in Time?
Yeah.
When I'm on the third level and I'm yet to actually travel in time.
Exactly, that's the sort of thing they might just give it, like, put it back down again because they
I
didn't
love
pay
that
anything for it.
you beat-
Yeah, well, the levels aren't that long, though. That's another thing I liked about it. The levels are quite
yeah, they
quick to
are.
get
They
through,
are on the
which is
short
nice.
side. You can complete this game without much experience at all in about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, easy. We are kind of pushed for time, but there's one thing I did want to quickly mention, which I think is amazing, which James might appreciate. I think the music in this game is fantastic.
Yeah.
No further point on that. And I don't really actually
good to
have
listen
much
to.
trivia, apart from a bit of trivia that me and my friend Sam, when we were like 6 years old, noticed in this game. When you get to the second to last level, which is like an alien moon base, and you start going, there is one enemy who is literally a little bin on wheels that shoots lasers at you, and he has noises, animations, sound effects, and all that. He only ever appears once in the whole game. And I always think how it's really weird. In the arcade version, there's also a boxing robot that only appears once. And I just think it's really weird that a designer, an animator, and a coder all had to get together, do all this work on one enemy, and never used him again.
Well, no, there probably were other planned levels
Yeah.
that he was going to
guess-
be featured in, but they axed the levels for whatever reasons.
But didn't want to waste
But they already had this character, so they just chucked him in.
In a lot
That's
of games,
probably
there are
what
often,
happened.
there are often unused art assets. There are probably characters that didn't even make it into this game but were coded and animated.
Mm.
Haven't we
Just
discussed the game
interesting.
before where we just talked about enemies that only appeared once?
Well, Gunstar Heroes has pretty much non-stop enemies that only appear once.
Yeah.
That's kind of the classic boss template where bosses just keep
yeah.
appearing.
I thought maybe we discussed it. Maybe I saw a
I think we
YouTube
have.
video that brought it up.
It just made
always
me laugh.
interesting.
We always saw
Do you
it
often
whenever we.
confuse your life for YouTube?
Anthony
this-
is YouTube.
I confused this show for YouTube shows about talking like retrospectives, so sure.
Let's
Our listeners should not do that though because we're unique snowflakes.
Yep.
roll into
We all
the
are.
retrograde part of the show.
Yeah.
Zan, you chose this. How are we going to grade this game?
Dax.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that. Oh, there's no point in doing
Big
ninja
apple.
weapons.
Wait,
is there?
wait,
I've got it. Types of pizza.
Oh. Okay.
Pizza toppings.
All right,
I
I got
should
one.
say.
I got
Right,
one.
I haven't got one
I'm
yet.
going first because I don't want Anthony to take it in case he's gonna. Because he often does that. It's weird. I'm
takes your
going
pizza?
for ham and pineapple.
Nice. Classic.
Because I remember having it as a kid
Hawaiian.
and I liked it, but I don't really like it anymore. And it just also it's kind of 90s. Like people don't eat it that much anymore, but it seemed like a really big thing. Back.
Yeah, I think it's less common now. People are getting more artisanal with their pizza.
Yeah.
They are,
pancetta
definitely.
and mozzarella.
Yeah, putting pineapple on there is a bit too old school.
Yeah.
And that used to be interesting.
It's like
No.
having your pineapple and cheese hedgehogs at a party.
yeah.
It's like that.
I'm going to go for pepperoni because
That's what I was going to go for.
Haha. Because it's a really solid pizza and you'll definitely enjoy it if you get one. But if you had the choice, you'd probably go for something a bit more varied, a bit more interesting, a bit more off the cuff, a bit more, off the wall. So this is a very
Something more artisanal.
yeah, sure. This is a very solid beat 'em up, but there's a reason side-scrolling beat 'em ups have waned in the years. And I think it's because the gameplay is very staid.
See, I was going to choose pepperoni pizza for a very different reason. So
Oh, then,
shall I
yeah.
still choose it? But
Yeah, 2 people can rate something 9 out of 10.
I just
so
like to point out that's
Yeah.
officially against the rules. So
it's not. There's no rules officially. So
officially there are rules.
Unofficially
wait,
against the
where are the
rules.
rules? I weren't aware there were
They're
rules.
tattooed on
I
his
am
chest. He
adding
never
this
shows
to
us.
the minutes, and I will make a record of this.
Yeah, no, I was going to give it pepperoni pizza because it's a classic, and everyone enjoys it. It's familiar. It's safe.
Those are also the same reasons.
And it never gets old. That was my thing. You never get bored of a pepperoni pizza.
I once had a Domino's
anyway.
pepperoni pizza like 3 times in a row, and I just wanted to kill myself.
Well, you made a mistake.
Yeah.
One question on this level with
Binge
the roads, like basically the F-Zero level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is F-Zero.
They're able to go over those gaps without. Why do they even put the gaps in the road if they can just fly over them
variation.
normally? But yeah, but there's, gaps are a bad thing to do. Why not do something like a ramp?
Me and my friend, when we played this level when we were younger, we always thought you had to jump those gaps until one day one of us just hit them and nothing happened. We
Yeah,
were
that's a bit
oh,
weird
right.
from a design
We're a bit
gameplay
annoyed.
perspective. Like it looks like you should have to jump them.
I think maybe they planned it,
Anyway.
they just didn't put it in.
I'm gonna
what are you
I'm gonna
scoring
go
this
for the Domino's Pizza Meteor with the stuffed hot dog crust with cheese special.
Oh!
Only because
Be more specific.
Only because it's the pizza that when you actually look at it, it's got a lot in it. Like this game, it's got lots of bits and bobs, and there's like loads of stuff in it. And then all of it on paper should be amazing. And as a kid, yeah, you would wolf that down. You'd be nuts on it. But now my tastes have kind of acquired a bit. And I realise that what makes a great pizza isn't just putting everything on it. And don't get me wrong, every so often I'll dip into the double decadence Domino's Pizza Meteor special. I'm hoping Domino's Pizza are listening because they should send some pizzas.
Wait,
to
it's
this.
a double decadence
They
one
should
with the
do.
sauce inside the pizza.
The double decadence is where there's
double base with
there's a
the
pizza
I never
underneath
liked that
flavour
with
of the meat. I
cheese.
never liked that one.
I like to dip it in the sauce, but I don't like the sauce
Yeah.
to be in it. That's crazy.
But yeah, and it's kind of it's got everything in it, and it should be a great piece. But it's just one of these ones. Every so often, maybe I'll have one when I'm feeling a bit depressed or something. But like,
Comfort eaters and all
but
of
it's
this.
kind of now my taste have acquired a bit, and I realise that actually I wouldn't mind just like a bit of a more posher Papa John's or something like that.
Papa John's is not
come
posher than
on.
Domino's.
All right, Pizza Express. All right, come on in.
Well done.
But so
Pizza
yeah,
Express is
still I could always munch down on it, but it's my tastes have evolved a little bit now.
Yeah.
you like the more
cool.
artisanal.
Well, that was a great episode. Thank you out there for listening.
Wait.
Oh,
We didn't do trivia.
there wasn't much trivia, to be honest.
There was
Oh, okay.
that one
Thank
about
God.
the enemy.
About the enemy that didn't
Oh,
win.
okay.
It's because Jack didn't say
Jack
trivia
said-
I love
closed.
though. I love though that you got excited and wanted trivia. That means you
I
actually
always love
like the trivia.
It's mainly
Good.
because I just like hearing you go trivia, and then trivia closed.
Trivia closed. No, but thank you for listening out there. And if you want, you can find all information about the shows, about this show and all of our other sister podcasts at psycon.net. That's CSICON.net. Oh, God, that was a complete flabber. So yeah, make sure to check it out. And don't forget to obviously follow us on Twitter where you can see our competition tweet that you can retweet and visit us.
Yeah, remember we're giving away FTL and Strike Suit Zero. So if you like space, definitely enter.
And if-
I like how when they do this end bit, they just stare into each other's eyes and they're blinking the whole time.
Anthony's touching
I should have told you. I should
We're
have told you
communicating
that.
telepathically as well as.
As the listeners have probably noticed, I've decided to cut out all of the stuff we normally say because we also have things like iTunes, Facebook, Twitter, Patreon.
Who uses iTunes? It's
Yeah, all these things. And I
2014.
realise that our fans at the end of the episode must go, good Lord, they expect us to do all this stuff. So
What's
no,
the
I'm not saying that.
Facebook?
I'm just saying go to csicon.net and you'll find everything on there, basically. But the competition tweet's really awesome because you can win stuff. We're going to be back in 2 weeks where we're going to be playing Far Cry, the original Far Cry, which is going to be great fun, right, James?
It's it's a good time.
I'm sure the
What
Zan's
kind
looking
of
forward
game
to
is
it.
It's a
a game,
first-person shooter.
Yeah, it's a shooter
Woohoo.
set on an island. It's made by the Germans.
The Germans.
Yeah,
Who are we
there's-
shooting?
At the end you
Is
do
it a particular
at the-
ethnic race?
At the end you do try and exterminate an entire race. So I
Right,
suppose
okay.
there's that aspect of it which you'll enjoy.
When is it set?
The 40s.
Modern.
Oh, okay.
It's like modern day.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually pretty cool though. It's sort of open world.
What-
It's a far
what
cry
console's
from
it
what
on?
you're used to, Liz.
It's on PC.
Oh, the show will never get better.
No,
On PC.
we peaked.
Cool, okay.
End it all. Yeah, so thank you for listening. That's a goodbye from me, Jack Marshall. A goodbye from Anthony Hobday.
Goodbye.
A goodbye from Sam Fisher.
Bye.
And a goodbye from James McFadden.
I never see people drink full fat Coke anymore. It's like in the 90s it's the same with Hawaiian pizza. In the 90s full fat Coke was such a big thing, but now it's all about the Diet Coke. So I mean, I can get behind that though, because I mean aspartame, while it does give you cancer, will not make you as prone to heart disease. So yeah.
Alley Cat Blues.